William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now. Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet with all the money and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reid.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reid.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You'd be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes, Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins. But are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
Pepper, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
You should be proud of what you've achieved. This hospital represents hope for many people in need of help.
Maybe you're right. But at the moment, I feel like we're just a cemetery waiting room.
What steps are you prepared to take to feel more useful?
I don't know yet. My sister believes that the real fight is in the streets nowadays. Maybe she's right. Maybe this is what I must do.
If you feel that saving lives is not useful enough, perhaps it means that you've lost faith.
On the contrary, my faith has never been stronger. Maybe we are all just too proud to face up to the fact that science cannot compete with God.
And what about Milton Hooks? Does he share your point of view?
For Milton, any change means more comfort and more peace. I disagree.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
I wish I could be sick again.
Not now!
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
Asked me to collect you, Dr. Reid. Hurry up!
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
What type of hospital are you running? No antiseptics?
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this epidemic, supplies have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
It's here again.
infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza. Balls of Mars, fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful. This key will surely grant me access to the basement. These skulls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood. It's locked, all right. Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this. Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? The chest was originally opened to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. These scowls can be so ferocious. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting. Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient in the proper dosage. Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate. It's locked, all right. Good evening. I'm Dr. Reid.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague? Are you a doctor too?
Not anymore, sir. I used to be Dr. Rakesh Chadana. Now, I'm just Mr. Chadana, pawnbroker and humble guardian of this morgue.
What do you mean, you used to be a doctor? Was your license revoked?
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop while taking care of the dead. But I used to be a real doctor.
Are you afraid or uneasy being surrounded by so many corpses?
Why should I? These bodies are empty vessels. Flesh left to decay. Poof! No soul anymore. All gone.
An interesting point of view. And quite an exotic one, too. Most people fear, or at least have a respect, for dead flesh.
Sir, as a medic during the war, I learned to face my death and the death of others. It's the pain we have to tame, not death itself.
How did you get this job?
After I left the army, I worked as an undertaker down by the docks. A dangerous place with many an unpleasant business there. Milton Hooks helped me get a job here.
Have we met before?
I don't think so, sir. Why?
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was reported dead.
Funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago. You were missing, and she was looking for your body. She must be very relieved now.
Do you work here alone?
Yes, very easy work, sir. All I have to do is watch a few bodies. The situation was very different when the main morgue was still open.
Why do you have to watch these bodies?
Because these poor fellows have no names. We keep them in case someone comes looking for the missing. Sadly, very rarely happens.
Why close the hospital's main morgue?
It was for sanitary reasons after the beginning of the epidemic. Cadavers had to be moved to the nearest mass grave.
A pawnbroker? I expect you get all types of people here.
Yes, sir. All kind of people. For I sell all kind of goods.
Who comes here to trade with you? It's very unhygienic, even unsafe. Diseases can spread. For the customers, for the hospital.
I'm very cautious, sir. I've been a doctor, remember? And all my clients are good people. In fact, I think I only know good people.
What kind of goods?
With the quarantine, it's not always easy to buy things. So I trade, I exchange. Some people sell, some others buy. I like to help.
Since you're not afraid of dying, do you believe in life after death, Rakesh?
No, I believe we must do all the good we can while alive. For our time is short, and the obstacles are endless.
Do you think you would enjoy immortality as a concept?
I don't think so. Don't mistake me, I love life and I'd like to live a long life. But everything has to decay, sir. Even goodwill.
So you're ready to die?
No, I am not. I don't fear death, for I won't see it. What troubles me is the pain my death will inflict to those I know.
You're a wise man, Mr. Chadana.
No, Dr. Reid. I am a foolish man. But I like to think otherwise.
Do you really believe goodwill cannot last?
As I said, sir, everything decays. If I was to never die, goodness, I would be bored, or worse. And I like to be helpful, sir.
Quite depressing, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but the good news is we'll all die before losing our humanity, sir.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reid. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reid.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reid. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reid. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reid. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Perhaps I should have considered the offer from that Cadogan fellow.
I wish I could be sick again.
Come now, we can handle this.
Blood boil with the fever.
In the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of...
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reid. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Ackroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reid? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reid.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
I'm all right. Considering the state of this place, I should consider myself lucky, I guess.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book. I could keep anything from her.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the same basic ingredients.
Many thanks, Doctor. When you've finished, you ought to report to Dr. Swansea in his office. He's been looking for you. Seemed pressing.
Doctor, so many deaths. You always knew the words to calm the children, Ella.
This hospital seems to be
As for
falling
me,
apart. But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
I'm all right.
I cannot enter.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reid. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reid? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reid. Of course you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be ridiculous, Dr. Reid. A simple glance is enough for me to know you have nothing for me to envy.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Tell me, Waverly, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure. But my young colleague obviously disagrees.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
If you are going to lead this surgery, I'm trusting you to assume the consequences of your actions, whatever the result.
I'm not the kind of man who runs away from his responsibilities, Dr. Reid. There is no need for you to be looking over my shoulder.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reid, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you. You avoid this kind of accusation instead of facing reality.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reid. Can I help at all?
No.
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
It's locked.
you again.
I cannot enter. It's locked.
So many deaths.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reid? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived, but we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reid. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Do you require medical attention as well, Mrs. Goswick?
I have other concerns right now, Doctor. But I'm fine, thank you.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
So many deaths. And still more coming.
Sure we're making a difference.
Not of my own life.
At least that mistress of the dark has stopped following you.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins is thinking of leaving the hospital?
That's not a surprise. We've talked about it already.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where can we go? Where is it safe?
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reid.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Goodbye, Milton.
Soon enough, you'll be able to walk out.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reid.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation.
It's locked, all right.
To have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
I cannot enter. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Tell me why you're extorting money from some of the patients here.
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me a little fee. That's all.
Where did you get the idea for such an immoral scam?
Funny you should ask. The first time it was from a patient who bribed me to get a bed. It's only then I realized I could make a fortune.
Admit it. Nurse Hawkins is more than your lover. She's also your partner in crime.
Of course she is. How else could I tell which bed is free? I need to know that.
Have you no shame?
Don't you see this city is crumbling down? Today people are ready to pay to get a hospital bed. Tomorrow we may be fighting for food.
Goodbye, Milton.
Please spare me, Dark Queen.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reid.
Milton cheats patients out of their money at this hospital, Pippa. Are you his accomplice?
Yes, I am.
Is this your definition of being useful? By abusing the sick and poor?
No. It is my definition of getting out of this useless life once and for all.
Whose idea was it?
What difference does it make? We did it together, and I'm guilty as charged.
Answer my question.
It was my idea first, even though Milton would say it was his, to protect me.
Why do you do it?
Why not? Most of the sick who paid for a bed are already dead, or will be soon. Don't you see the futility of all this?
How can you be affected by the misery around you, and be so heartless at the same time? Which is the real you, Nurse Hawkins?
I could ask you the same question, Dr. Reid. Are you more real when you lie to a dying patient, or when you grant him useless medication?
Why do you do it?
Why not? Most of the sick who paid for a bed are already dead, or will be soon. Don't you see the futility of all this?
How can you be affected by the misery around you, and be so heartless at the same time? Which is the real you, Nurse Hawkins?
I could ask you the same question, Dr. Reid. Are you more real when you lie to a dying patient, or when you grant him useless medication?
Why do you do it?
Why not? Most of the sick who paid for a bed are already dead, or will be soon. Don't you see the futility of all this?
How can you be affected by the misery around you, and be so heartless at the same time? Which is the real you, Nurse Hawkins?
I could ask you the same question, Dr. Reid. Are you more real when you lie to a dying patient, or when you grant him useless medication?
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Fear and disgust on every street corner. Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
It may seem strange, but your words have brought me some comfort here.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
I'm not some doe-eyed student, Edgar. I understand we both have something to gain from this relationship.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
Do you need something, Jonathan?
I have just a few questions.
Then ask away. I'm at your service, Doctor.
Since I'm the one working for you, what should I know about Pembroke Hospital?
Well, for many years, we have been the only medical facility in this part of town that people can rely on. We support the community here, as well as provide health care.
Where do we stand today?
Oh, to be honest, we cope on a day-to-day basis. The first wave of the Spanish flu last summer took us by surprise. We lack many of the basic necessities needed.
What do you expect of me?
What we need is hope. You were a soldier. This is a war. This white coat's still a uniform. We fight to help the poor, the sick of the East End, the forgotten.
Since you seem quite the expert on vampires, what could you tell me about my condition and how it came about?
As men of science, our first step is always to start with what we know. Forget the myths, the hackneyed scrawlings, and the penny dreadfuls. They do not scratch the surface of the truth you now find yourself in.
Must I take a life to live?
You are a vampire. You feed, and blood is the sole sustenance that can sustain your immortal frame. And only a living creature contains the nourishment you require.
The sun. The morning following my transformation. Its rays burned me. There was pain, smoke, and my skin blackened.
You will find there is very little that can kill a vampire, my friend. You have been offered relative immortality. The sun will most certainly hurt you, leaving you weakened and damaged, but it will not destroy you.
You mentioned something about a secret society. A brotherhood, if I recall. Could you elaborate?
Certainly. I've been a member of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole for several years. We are pledged to monitor and report vampire activity in England as impartial scientific observers.
That explains your nightly wanderings about the docks and the questions you ask.
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence that led us to that part of town. There was something as yet unseen that set those chain of events in motion.
Yet you don't fear me. And still, you know the monster that lurks beneath the civilized surface.
The Brotherhood has studied your kind for centuries. We believe you are as supernatural as a lion is to a gazelle.
The man we pursued and slew in the canning factory, William Bishop, I believe, was he a vampire?
He was a Skald, technically speaking. The debate rages as to their classification. Some think them a subspecies of vampire, others something else.
How do Skalds come into existence?
The name means slave. The etymology may indicate that they are a lesser species of vampire. From what I know, vampires tend to despise them.
Just for clarity, what differences are there between myself and a Skald?
A Skald is easier to eliminate, Jonathan, even if they remain formidable foes for the unprepared. Vampires exist beyond the mortal realm.
We'll see each other again soon, Edgar.
Further your agenda, sir.
How long's it going to take to fix me properly? A month?
A year! You have the right to disapprove of our methods, and you will kindly
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here. and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet Lady of Mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're the lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise. I'm very happy to see you.
The pleasure is mine, Doctor.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so little left to live for. I do my best to ease their pain.
The world would be a better place if it were cared for by women like you.
You make me blush. I am simply a necessary evil.
Pardon my boldness, Your Ladyship, but I have questions concerning this condition we share.
As a newborn, your hunger for answers is rivaled only by your thirst for blood. But the questions need wait.
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the deciphering of mysteries, and I need information to feed my mind.
I will gladly answer every question you have, but first, prove yourself capable of resolving my predicament without eating the culprit.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
What are your expectations? Please be precise.
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my blackmailer.
Who would be so foolish as to threaten you? A kindred spirit.
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions lean toward a patient or their family.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid. Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
Please continue. Every detail is essential. I'm your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
Is it true?
Now aren't you the blunt one?
We both are afflicted with a thirst for blood, Lady Ashbury. That is our nature. By vocation, we also have reason to visit the hospital. Logic dictates.
In all honesty, I'm not simply a patron to the hospital. My visits serve a dual purpose. Dr. Swansea has been treating my condition with a revolutionary technique of blood transfusion. It seems you are a specialist in the domain.
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reid. I'm sure of your discretion, but I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition.
It's safer here than anywhere else in the East End.
If Pembroke is still standing after this epidemic, there's good reason to be proud.
We are.
What is this? Who are you? Get out of my room.
There's no need for alarm, madam. I'm Dr. Reid, the new surgeon.
Preposterous. Dr. Reid, you say? I don't want some bumbling intern. Where's Dr. Swansea?
Please, calm down, madam. I assure you that I am highly qualified. I'm just back from war duty.
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You know how long I've been a patient here. You've picked the wrong fight. I'm Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones? Indeed. I've been meaning to have a chat with you. You know what goes on here better than any other patient, I gather.
Oh, better than any patient, nurse or doctor. I've seen so many vile undertakings.
I heard there have been some despicable goings-on. Was there a case of blackmail?
Blackmail? Wait. You're investigating something. This isn't a social call. One of those incompetent cunts slit a poor sod's vein.
If I didn't know better, Miss Jones, I'd be inclined to say you enjoy this type of idle gossip.
God's honest truth, Doctor. It's just the way it is here. Most of these bitches would let you freeze to death before getting you a blanket.
You seem to know more about the goings-on here than anyone else. Beware, Miss Jones, in case suspicion should fall on you.
That's it. Blame the old and infirm. I see those little bitches' greedy little eyes. Just waiting for me to pop off they are.
I assure you, madam, this is not an investigation into a possible medical error.
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, whores, all of them. They can't keep their legs shut. I've seen them scratching slutty sores.
Really? Well, if you have irrefutable proof, I'll not have the staff behaving in such a manner here.
This is your business, Doctor, not mine. But I swear one of the nurses is cavorting with some man on hospital hours.
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You've given me something to go on. See you on the next round. The patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them.
Bred with no respect.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Do you know if any of the hospital staff have criminal backgrounds?
The people who work here all come from very different backgrounds, Doctor. Just like the patients.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Dr. Reid. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippett's in our situation?
Perhaps you did it with the best intentions, Nurse Brannigan, but you took a great risk. Must I remind you that a man died?
You mean you've never made a mistake? Never covered your tracks? Come on, Doctor. I wasn't born yesterday.
Have you seen a strange man visiting any of the nurses here?
I've never heard of such a thing, Doctor.
Have you seen a strange man visiting any of the nurses here?
I've never heard of such a thing, Doctor.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reid.
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones. Do not pay attention to her, Doctor. She's full of fanciful tales.
She could have been telling the truth about the mysterious man.
That old witch will end up in hell soon enough. Who cares if a nurse finds some happiness where she can?
No matter how you feel about her, Miss Jones deserves our help.
Who says I don't care for her? Hate is what keeps that old crone alive.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Have you heard of any blackmailing going on within these walls?
I have no time for mortal games. My secrets are beyond their comprehension, Dr. Reid.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
So many days.
Hello again, Dr. Reid. I feel better already. Can I go soon?
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later. Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reid.
Have you heard rumors of underhand dealings in the hospital?
If you want to know what's going on here, you better talk to Miss Jones. She knows everything. Especially what she shouldn't.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn!
I wish I could see her again. Blood boil with the fever.
Please, sir. I need help bad.
What's going on?
I'm Blight, sir. Mutant Blight. I've lost my mate. Can't find him anywhere.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid from the Pembroke Hospital. Please, calm down and give me more details.
Oswald and myself were both infantry, sir. We were en route for the hospital, but... well, we had a disagreement. And Oswald ran off towards the canal.
How long have you been searching for him?
I can't go there. Too many rats by the water. Fucking rats. Can't stand them since the war, sir. Can't stand them at all.
Don't be ashamed, Mr. Blight. Many soldiers who survived the trenches suffer from musophobia. I'll see what I can do for your friend. What can you tell me about your friend?
His name is Oswald Thatcher. We survived the war together. Oswald is nervous and quite fragile since we came back from the war.
What can you tell me about yourself?
I'm Oswald's best friend. We served in the same regiment, sir. We've taken care of each other since we came back from the front.
This is a dangerous part of town. What are you doing here?
We were looking for the Pembroke Hospital. We both need help. Treatment, I mean. To get some sleep. Just need to feel better, sir.
Where was your friend the last time you saw him?
He went down by the canal. He didn't want to go to the hospital. I think he went to the sewers on purpose. So I couldn't go after him.
I have all the information I need for now. If I find anything out about your friend, I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Thank you, Dr. Reid.
It's locked.
Burn it, boy!
No one is here. Relax. Don't worry, we're safe. Don't worry, we're safe. No one is here. Relax. Don't worry, we're safe. Don't worry, we're safe.
You're sure you don't come back with me?
Nah, I have to see someone at the hospital.
Be careful. You look so bad they may keep you as a patient.
Fuck 'em. I don't like hospitals or doctors.
Well then, when you go back to Whitechapel, you may find this useful.
What is it?
A pass for a free medical exam by the best nurse available. Just read it.
I don't read well, but thank you, I guess.
This man has been savagely attacked and dragged to the floor.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I don't want to die here! I want to see the sky! Feel the fresh air!
Are you injured, sir?
Help me get out of here! I need to get out!
I'm Dr. Reid, and I'd be glad to help you, but you must calm down first. Please, take a deep breath and tell me your name.
Okay, I'm Oswald Thatcher. Please, I need to get out!
Mr. Thatcher, your friend Newton sent me to help you. Do you remember him?
Yes, I do.
Good. Now leave this place and enjoy the cool night air. It's quite invigorating. I'm sure you'll feel better if you do. This is despicable. What sort of creature is this? Here's what's left of him. Not a lot to check, but I should anyway. Some voucher for a free checkup in Whitechapel. What is Nurse Crane up to? I really must find her.